You see the scroll wheel on my mouse here? I could spin it like I'm the tiniest little contestant on the littlest episode of The Price is Right. And since I'm always looking for new movies, but every time I sit down to find a new challenging film to sink my teeth into, I end up just putting on old episodes of Murder, She Wrote.
Good morning, Edna.
Oh, Jessica. I decided I would let my mouse decide for me, so let's see what I get. Passion of Anna, Ingmar Bergman. Okay, what a way to start. All right, well, let's go watch it. If it fits! Woo! Fair warning, there will be spoilers, so if you're interested, go watch, come back. Also, topics of self-harm and animal abuse are mentioned. If that's not for you, get out now. The Passion of Anna, directed by Ingmar Bergman and starring Liv Ullmann, Max von Sydow, Bibi Andersson, and Erland Josephson, premiered in 1969 and tells the story of four friends? Lovers? Andreas, Anna, Eva, and Ellis. We meet Andreas, having recently separated from his wife, when he encounters Anna, a broken woman, literally, and will eventually come to realize figuratively, who is recovering from an injury she received after getting into a car wreck that we're led to believe killed her husband and child. After engaging in an affair with Eva, Andreas enters a relationship with Anna, and we watch the two slowly self-destruct, culminating in violence and presumably separating for good. This film is considered by many to be the ending of a loose trilogy by Bergman, the first two films being Hour of the Wolf and Shame, which I have not seen, so I might be coming into this film with a little bit of a disadvantage. But something that Liv Ullmann said in an interview many years later rang true to me.
He was in conflict. He was so much in conflict that he wasn't always sure of what he really wanted to express in that movie. So he improvised.
And that's what the film feels like. It feels like an experiment. It feels like improvisation. It feels like there's a lot there, and I'm almost grabbing on to some depth, but it doesn't quite come together. And I'm totally willing to accept that it might be my tiny widow brain, or I might need some more experience with Bergman. I've really only ever seen Persona and The Seventh Seal, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I saw Scenes from Marriage as well. But all of those things I saw probably 10 years ago. I couldn't quite fully wrap my head around what the film was trying to say. Formally, it's all over the place. There are cast interviews scattered throughout. There's an improvised dinner scene, scripted scenes, a dream sequence, all of which works. I was always engaged. The filmmaking always felt purposeful. It was the ideas behind the filmmaking that felt like an artist working something out instead of saying something. And I'm trying to not put a value judgment on that because I'm not saying that it's bad. I look at Andreas at the start of the film, recently divorced from his wife, literally attempting to fix his home, and he's almost immediately infatuated with Anna. She asks to use his phone, and he's compelled to eavesdrop on her conversation. She forgets her purse, and he digs through it looking for more information about her. It immediately struck me as unhealthy behavior, and I think it's because he's initially attracted to her helplessness. She looks like someone who he can rescue, and as the film goes on, he can't move past his own depression, his own loneliness, his inability to connect with others, and because of that, he lashes out violently and ultimately self-destructs. I've seen some people talk about the abrupt shift from Andreas' affair with Eva to his relationship with Anna. It's done with a time jump, and we get no resolution to the affair, but it seems like just another example of his pattern of infatuation to dismissal. Maybe it's not fleshed out enough. It was for me, but Eva is also depressed and lonely. She finds herself sleeping during the day because she struggles with insomnia. Again, Andreas wants to save this vulnerable woman. They go very quickly from friends to an almost aggressively affectionate affair. It's done, and he's moved on in one simple cut. Another example that stuck out is there's a scene where Andreas finds a puppy struggling in a noose, and he rescues it, takes care of it, but when he starts his affair with Eva, he gives it away. Later on, he finds an injured bird, and instead of trying to save it, he bashes its head with a rock. In my mind, showing us how he's transitioned from this man who viewed himself as a white knight to what maybe we can assume are his old ways. If you haven't seen the film, you might be saying, hold up, a puppy in a noose? Yes, there's an animal abuse subplot in the film. Someone on the island is going around putting puppies in nooses and slaughtering sheep and locking animals in burning barns. What is the connection between this subplot and the rest of the film? I'm not 100% sure. The film is very interested in truth and lies, and I think that's what the subplot is doing. One of Andreas' friends, Johan, is accused of being the person who is committing these crimes. At one point, he is beaten so badly and forced to confess he feels like he can't go on, and he takes his own life. And after that, more violence against animals is committed, leading us to assume that he was not the guilty party all along. But the mob believed this lie and acted on the lie, leading to disastrous consequences. Anna also talks a lot about truth, and yet we're made to believe that she is in fact lying about her marriage, constantly saying how happy and wonderful it was, how even though her husband cheated on her, it only made them stronger. But earlier, Andreas had found a letter from her former husband, painting a wildly different picture of their relationship. There's also ambiguity about the accident that caused the death of her husband and child, but what is the film saying about truth and lies? I don't know. There are moments throughout the film where the actors step outside the film and give interviews commenting on their characters. Maybe it's something about the artifice of film. Is their commentary more true than what we see in the film? Or is what we get from the film a deeper truth than what the actors try to intellectualize? Maybe, but the actors, that's the real reason to watch this film. These are 4 actors at the top of their game, turning in some really fantastic performances. So even if, like me, you can't quite get your head around what the film is really doing, it's still a joy watching these actors and scenes together. The actor interviews were some of my favorite parts of the film. The film was just titled A Passion in Sweden, not The Passion of Anna, and I think that's a better title because ultimately I think that's what the film is about. People letting passion consume them, letting it destroy them, looking for passion, losing passion. And speaking of passion, this film was made at the end of Bergman and Ullmann's relationship. And to me, it feels like a very personal film and almost made as retaliation. Listening to Ullmann talk about it, she might agree with me.
There was a lot of circumstances on that film that made it a very tough film to do. And because Ingmar was so angry at me and angry at my vision of truth and whatever, and that's what my character was all about too, lying and truthful and whatever, he just cut what I was saying as a personal leave, cut it. So what I said in the movie as me too became a lie, and I've never forgiven him for that.
It feels more like an artist working through something rather than trying to impart something to us that they've worked through. I feel like I sound like I didn't enjoy this film, but I did quite a bit. But I do think it could be frustrating for some people. It is definitely worth checking out. Between the performances and the filmmaking, there's a lot to get out of this film. It just might leave you with some more questions than answers. And now, if you want the answer to what should I watch next, the YouTube algorithm has you covered. Go ahead, get it. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Click it.